Hi guys, welcome back. Last time we got the sample looked at by Dr. Walker, and we're continuing the Vanguard path, and yeah, we're going into Mast now. So, let's get into it. Here we go.
Captain, over here.
Right.
The workup's in the cabinet's hands. They said they'll call for us once they've gotten to properly review it. But listen, I know I should have been more forthcoming about who I was earlier. So, in the interest of full disclosure, there's one more thing you ought to know before we head up there. My relationship with the UC. It's more complicated than it might seem at first glance. The UC's actually the only reason I'm here in the first place. I am a clone.
Oh, okay.
Of a man named Francois Sanon, one-time fleet admiral of the UC during the Colony War, former head of the UC Navy. They called him Ve Victus, woe to the defeated, in Old Earth Latin. A title he earned. The program I was a part of, it was the UC's attempt to create a new generation of military minds from one of their most respected tacticians. Secure the leadership of the UC military for generations to come.
Are there others from your program still out there? Other clones?
I'm the last.
Oh.
A few of my siblings, they passed when we were young. Training accidents and the like. But most of the rest were deployed to the front lines during the Colony War, and they never came back. Not a day goes by where I don't think about what the world would look like with them still in it.
This Ve Victus must have been an impressive commander for the UC to want to clone him.
He would have happily told you he was one of the greats. Ultimately, though, it didn't matter. The man I was cloned from, my father, was executed for acts he committed during the war. The man caused a lot of death, on both sides. Freestar Collective, and UC. Military, and civilians.
Yeah.
And the things he did, well, they're a part of the reason the UC and Freestar Collective aren't really on great terms to this day. So my involvement, it could be another obstacle they throw at us up there. I just wanted you to be forewarned.
I appreciate that, though. You're not your father. If the cabinet doesn't see that, it's their problem, not yours.
I really appreciate you saying that. I just thought you deserved to know, considering how much you've done already. You know, while we've got a second, was there anything else we needed to discuss? I know you got dropped into the middle of this pretty fast. Or, if you've got any last-minute business to attend to, now might be a good time. No telling how long the cabinet's gonna keep us waiting out here.
So honestly, what are the risks of us accessing this data?
Eye strain from the amount of reading I've got on the horizon if we succeed. The Terramorph project never went anywhere. It couldn't. They're deadly creatures, but they aren't xenoweapons. The cabinet not opening the archives is probably a bigger risk than them handing over the files. That data itself isn't dangerous, which probably wouldn't be a bad point for us to bring up, should the opportunity arise.
Any suggestions on what I should say to the cabinet?
Well, thinking about it more, I suspect there'd be value in sharing the fact that the Terramorph project was, well, a failure. There's no need to be afraid of this data being weaponized. Knowing that should calm some of the cabinet's fears and make it easier for us to dispel any suspicions the other factions might have about our intentions.
Your eyes, they're red. Is that a result of the cloning process?
That's actually a souvenir from my time on Mars. The Red Devils unit I was a part of, they were founded by recruits who'd worked some of Mars' deepest mines. Folks used to adversity. The dust at those depths, it seeps into everything, the human eye included. Where the name Red Devils came from in the first place. It became an unwritten rite of passage that anyone wanting to enlist with the Devils had to do a stint in the mines before they could join up. The Devils were always talked about in such revered tones during my training, so as soon as I was old enough, I signed up. And the eyes were my parting gift. Then I guess it's just a matter of...
The cabinet meeting is about to begin. All parties, please proceed to the cabinet chambers.
Okay.
Ah, Captain. Congratulations on joining the ranks of the Vanguard.
Ah, thank you. Here we go.
Ah, welcome. You must be the captain Hadrian mentioned in her report. You have our thanks for the risks you faced in securing this information.
Just following orders.
Well, I'll be sure your commanding officer hears that you've done them satisfactorily. Now then, we have two petitioners here making a surprising request. Access to the UC Xeno Warfare Team's Terramorph data, currently housed in the Armistice archives. A request which will require not just this body's agreement, but that of all three Armistice signatories. UC, Freestar Collective, and House Varun. Now, Captain, we've all read Hadrian's report on the subject, but we have yet to hear from you. Perhaps you could summarize for the Cabinet what it is you see as the goal of this endeavor.
Let me see. We're still trying to figure out what we're facing. We can't make an informed decision without data. Or we need the archival data to find a way to stop a possible terramorph apocalypse. Yeah.
That's quite the leap, Captain. Madam President, I object to the very premise of this meeting.
Oh my gosh.
While no one would argue that what happened on Tau Ceti was anything less than a tragedy, terramorph attacks are not some sudden new threat on the horizon. They've been happening for generations. To demand we hand over banned archival knowledge and possibly upset the balance of galactic diplomacy because of a single attack seems at best panic. And at worst, a power grab by the daughter of a bloodthirsty warmonger and her associates.
Wow. Okay.
I would remind the chief diplomat who he's speaking to. If it's my father you're looking to address, you're welcome to consult a medium. I would also ask how many deaths the cabinet requires to act. 50? 50,000? Because if tragedies like Tau Ceti are just prelude to more attacks, I have no doubt you'll get the body count you require.
Let's keep this civil, shall we? And while there should be no doubt the preservation of life stands paramount among this body's duties, Chief Yassine has a point. Will a single attack, however troubling, be sufficient to convince the other factions to grant us access to what they no doubt consider weapon data? I don't think it's enough. Perhaps you can help, Captain. As the one who actually collected the sample in question, did this terramorph seem at all alarming to you?
It wiped out a colony that never saw it coming. Yeah, that's pretty alarming.
That is worth considering. This attack took place on an almost completely uninhabited world. The casualties were minimal as a result. But if there's another attack, will we be so lucky?
Yes, a fine point, Admiral. So then, Captain, given the discussion now and the information you've been privy to thus far, if you were in our position, would you grant the request made to open the archives?
Let's see. Yes, if the fear is the data being weaponized, the Terramorph program failed. The data's not dangerous.
It doesn't matter if it can be weaponized or not. The archives need to remain sealed for now. There's no reason to rush into a decision of this magnitude.
Shut up,
That-
Sarah.
I hadn't thought of that, Captain.
An excellent point indeed. The other powers would likely be much more inclined to work with us knowing that. Chief Diplomat.
That point is a good one. Very well, you have my agreement. The galaxy is lucky you were here today, Captain.
You and I are in agreement, Chief Diplomat. So, if there are no other objections, I believe we can agree to give our full backing to make the request to... What was that?
Attention. An incident
Uh-oh.
has occurred. Facility lockdown engaged.
Incident. Chief Sarkin, what's happening?
There's been an attack at the spaceport.
Of course. You see,
Terramorphs.
this is why we needed it.
Terramorphs. More attacks. Just as predicted.
Good God.
Damn it. They're here. Now.
There must be another explanation. The creatures evaded our scanner somehow.
There will be plenty of time for conjecture later. Chief Sarkin, order the evacuation of the spaceport and have your men contain the things, but do it discreetly. The last thing we need is a citywide panic.
Yes, ma'am.
Admiral Logan, the local barracks can provide support?
I'll make the order myself. Nearest anti-Xeno squad, though, is off-world. Going to take a while to bring them in.
Well then, we'll have to make do with the tools we've got.
Why are you looking at me?
You two, we can't risk those things getting out of the spaceport. I want you both on the next train there. We'll let them know you're coming and that you've dealt with these things before. Now go show them how it's done.
We're on it, ma'am. Captain, I'm right behind. Let's get down there.
Okay.
You!
What's going on?
Now!
Stop! We're trying to help you!
I can't stop!
That's it. Now hit him with everything you've got.
Give it your best shot.
More lights out on that one.
You know what?
I guess they ran away.
There we go.
Thank you for what you did. We didn't want to hurt them.
The way those people were acting. I've seen this before. They were under the Terramorph's influence, weren't they?
I don't know. They were down at the port and they just started screaming. We tried to restrain them, get them on the train to get them out of harm's way, but some of the other officers down there, we couldn't restrain them fast enough. They just started firing on us. People we knew. They went berserk.
Pheromonic projection. Some Terramorphs, they can induce this fog. It affects everyone differently, but some people just lose control, turn against everyone around them, even if they don't want to. They're like a puppet. You kill the morph, you break the hold. But this means we're gonna need to be real careful with our fire, and keep that EM weapon at the ready.
Sounds like we need to hustle.
Let's do it.
Nat's unlocked. Please, do what you can to help them.
I'm gonna try, man.
You might back up. Don't just stand there.
That shit's not dead.
In here! In here!
Okay, well, do I have... She said stash the... Oh, shit. Piss it off. Oh, God.
You handled yourself well back there.
Experts?
We've got the remaining creatures locked down on the landing pad, but we're barely holding our perimeter. They said you've done this before, huh? Well, one fire team to spare and whatever supplies you need, but I can't risk them taking over any more women. Put those things down and do it fast. We'll hold them as best we can.
Heard you might be looking for some backup. You say the word, we're out there on your 6.
You two have any experience with terramorphs before?
Only the brief they just gave on the way here, but we know how to handle pressure.
Surviving a full-on mental assault isn't the same as keeping your cool in a firefight. Might make you more liability than asset.
We're not UC security. You don't need to worry about us.
You say so.
Roger that. We're on you.
Eyes open. Security scanners, chemical sniffers. See if they've got any weapons or ammo.
Closest. Oh, hello. Oh my gosh. I don't have a lot of ammo. Nope, I don't. Why are you running towards the thing and punching it? Sarah, Morgan, you're in the way.
Looks like the last one.
Oh. Come on, Sarah. It's you and me.
Oh God! Captain! You're going to be okay! It's not real! Whatever you're experiencing right now, it's not real! We have to put down that door!
It's not working. It's never going to work.
Oh, shut up.
I'm going to bring it on.
Oh, Sarah is down.
All wrapped up. We should go tell the sergeant what happened.
It's over. Thank God. If these things reached the populated areas of the city, we would have had an absolute massacre on our hands.
Yeah. I'm sorry, dude. Some of your guys died. Sorry.
Thank the heavens you're back in one piece. I guess our people weren't so lucky.
Yeah. Their sacrifice, but it wasn't in vain. The city's safe now.
The few protecting the many.
And it would have been plenty more if it hadn't been for the two of you. The city owes you both a debt after this.
We were just in the right place at the right time. Captain, we should report back to the President. Let her know the Terramorphs have been dealt with. Take care of yourself, Sergeant.
Okay, gentlemen. Let your people all know how much we owe them today.
Yes, officers were unprepared.
Ah, there you are. I believe we have some things we should discuss.
You've got the Cabinet's full backing to prevent more attacks. Understand?
Right.
Captain, Hadrian, it would appear that the Cabinet owes you our thanks for what you did for the city today. As well as an apology. Your concerns about the Terramorphs, well, consider them validated.
Thank you, ma'am.
Of course. I only wish we could have acted sooner. Now, today's events have only clarified our path forward in the eyes of the Cabinet. You will have our full support in collecting the Terramorph data from the archives, as well as a subsequent investigation into the nature of these attacks. But to accomplish those goals, we're going to need the right people in the right places. As such, the Cabinet has authorized me to reinstate you, Hadrian, effective immediately, to your former rank of Major. As soon as we've got the data in hand, we want you investigating these attacks and how to stop them. Will you do this?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. I'd be honored.
Excellent. But as you've both made clear, for such an investigation to succeed, first, we're going to need someone to convince the Freestar Collective and House Varun to play ball. Someone who knows precisely the sorts of dangers the colonies and all the galaxy are facing right now. The Cabinet wants you, Captain, to be that representative.
Tell me what I'm getting first, and I'll consider it. If you're sure that's the wisest course of action.
We do. In exchange, we're willing to fast-track your citizenship upon collection of the data. So, will you help us?
And what do I get for being a UC citizen?
It has its perks. Only citizens can purchase property in the city. We also pay reduced prices on most goods and services across the UC. There's also a credit disbursement when you first join. Help get you on your feet. But above all, you'd become a dedicated part of the greatest faction in the galaxy. If you're willing to help us, we can open that door.
You can count on me, ma'am.
I'm glad to hear it. Now, we, of course, won't be sending you in without the proper support. Deputy McIntyre in the Office of Interstellar Affairs will be your guide on gaining access to the archives. You should be able to find her in her office across the hall. And on behalf of the whole of the United Colonies, you have our thanks. We're dismissed.
We're counting on it.
Nice.
Don't let my people sack costs.
Benefits all of humanity.
Chief Yassine, these orders. A Vanguard captain. You... Yes, sir. I'll make sure they get what they require.
Hello.
That must make you my Vanguard captain. Welcome to Interstellar Affairs. I'm Deputy Chief Diplomat McIntyre, Chief Yassine's second-in-command. I heard you were instrumental in protecting the city from the attack. You have my gratitude. I was also informed that you gave quite the presentation to the cabinet. Chief Yassine wants you to know the Interstellar Affairs Office is fully committed to this endeavor, accessing the Terramorph data and beyond. We're going to do everything in our power to make sure you have the tools you need. And that means first getting you into the archives. You do know what the archives are, correct?
Someone paid attention in current events. So, then you also know that it was originally managed by the 3 major galactic players. Access to the archives is only granted in cases of dire emergency, and requires a one-time use code from each of the 3 Armistice signatories. UC, Freestar Collective, and House Varoon.
Now, the UC is already on board, so that means we'll need to convince 2 people. The ambassadors of the Freestar Collective and House Varoon to hand over their codes. Get them both and you'll have your data. But that's a lot easier said than done.
You'd think they'd be clamoring to help after the spaceport attack.
I couldn't agree more. However, both ambassadors have reasons they won't, or can't, work with us. Now, I'll provide guidance on how we believe you can acquire each code, but ultimately, it'll be up to you to get them both to cooperate.
And I do mean cooperate. Threats and violence are off the table here. Though that doesn't mean we can't get creative.
But it does mean we need to get you up to speed on who you're dealing with. Who do you want to start with? Ambassador Radcliffe of Freestar, or Ambassador Balmore of House Varoon?
Radcliffe.
The good Ambassador Radcliffe. She's a veteran of the Colony War, and her only goal in life is to make ours miserable. Now, officially, our office is suggesting you try and negotiate with her.
Use your experiences as a member of the military and with the threat we're facing to convince her to lend her support.
And who knows? Maybe that'll work. Stranger things have happened.
We'll see.
But my suspicion is we're going to have to rely on other tools to get her code.
Sounds like we need some leverage over Ambassador Radcliffe.
Said like you've done this before. UC Intelligence has a recording device planted in the ambassador's living quarters, which we suspect you can use to your advantage.
But getting caught trespassing is a quick way to land yourself in an embassy holding cell.
So, if you are going to try and access the device, you're going to need to find a way in there without being seen.
Now, we recovered some intel we believe should be able to help with that. But there's also a disgruntled staff member you might be able to pump for information. Maybe even convince to work with you.
Any other things I should avoid doing inside an embassy?
Yes, many. Don't steal anything. Don't get caught anywhere you're not supposed to. Absolutely do not harm anyone. If something goes wrong, we'll do our best to smooth things over, but I can't make any promises.
What can you tell me about this staff member?
Name's Cameron Long. He's younger than Ratcliffe, bears less of a grudge towards the UC. He works closely with the ambassador, making him a promising source for information on the ins and outs of embassy life, and someone who very likely hates her guts.
That's all the info
All
I
right.
need.
Here, your diplomatic ID. I'll give them a heads up you're on your way. Not likely to let you through the door otherwise.
And take these. Chief Yassine wanted you to have some options on how to proceed in there.
Tell me about Ambassador Balmore of House Varoon.
Ambassador Balmore's a challenge. When the rest of House Varoon retreated into seclusion shortly after the signing of the armistice, Balmore stayed here. He's since lent his support to a small number of archival requests, so there's real hope he might again. Though claiming to know how a member of House Varoon thinks is a quick way to earn yourself a psych eval.
Why? What's wrong with House Varoon?
Well, these days, they're primarily considered a security threat. House Varoon Zealots, a fundamentalist outshoot of the group that stayed behind when the rest retreated into seclusion, want nothing more than to send everyone not dedicated to their cause to the great serpent in the sky. But that hasn't always been the case. After they ended the Serpent's Crusade about 70 years back, House Varoon did take a real run at trying to normalize relations with the rest of the galaxy. It's why they have an embassy here in the first place, why they were included in the armistice negotiations. But then, without warning, they left, leaving behind, to our knowledge, just the ambassador and his duty under the armistice.
I'm sure he can be reasoned with. House Varoon are people just like us.
Well said. There's no reason to assume they're any worse than us, despite their cultural beliefs.
Of course. But there is another wrinkle. We're not 100% sure Balmore's actually still alive.
Oh.
His public appearances were always rare. But it's been several years now since he last poked his head out. Scans of the facility show life signs, but not the kind we were expecting.
Your task is to find him and kindly but firmly remind him of his duties under the armistice.
What kind of life signs did you detect in the embassy?
The Varoon delegation brought more than a few of their native flora with them when they set up in the embassy. It seems those plants have been allowed to flourish, making it hard for us to verify what's flora and what's ambassador.
Wait, no one has actually been inside the embassy?
The embassy is still legally House Varoon's sovereign territory, so we're not technically permitted inside. We've snuck in the occasional spy, of course, but the ambassador has proven more evasive than you'd expect for a man of his age. But we're quite sure he hasn't left the city. The man stands out.
What do I do if he's dead?
Then you search the embassy for his biometric key, collect your code piece, and we'll go about notifying his next of kin, if we can ever find them. But let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Here's hoping we're not chasing a corpse.
It would at least be a speedier negotiation. But I, of course, hope the ambassador is alive and well.
Now, the embassy front door isn't an option, but our spies have stated there's a side entrance that should allow you access. Here. This device should get you all the way down to the embassy interior. Once you're inside, though, finding the ambassador is going to be up to you. And fair warning, we received a report that alarms might have been tripped inside the embassy during the attacks. Watch out for automated security in there.
Great.
Now, if you have additional questions or require clearance for a new approach we haven't already discussed, don't hesitate to ask. I'd suggest you start with Ambassador Radcliffe. Approach her while the attack is still fresh in her and her staff's mind. Be smart out there, Captain.
There's something I need to talk to you about.
Okay.
Peace treaty.
believe it's been 2 decades since we were at war with the Collective, when it seems like only yesterday.
Here we go.
I'm going to be upfront with you. I'm not happy visiting anything related to the Freestar Collective, but you lead, and I'll follow.
Sounds good.
As in more than one? All that security and they still can't protect their own spaceport. The UC never fails to disappoint.
He sounds
Just
like
wish I hadn't received the news from an
he's a gem.
SSN broadcast. We have a strategic advantage to maintain, Mr. Long.
Of course, ma'am. I'll make sure it doesn't happen again.
Excuse me. Are you supposed to be in here?
That woman is an absolute... Oh, sorry. Oh, what? You're the Vanguard captain, right? You know, I was about to board the Nat to the spaceport when the alarm triggered. Sounds like I got real lucky. And like I've got you to thank for things not being a lot uglier.
You did get lucky. It was a war zone down there.
Well, then you have my earnest thanks. But look, they said you were coming here on official business. The ambassador likes to handle all that personally, even if she does have trained diplomats here to help her. And I don't want to get shipped back to Aquila City, so you should probably go speak to her.
She ignores your talents, empathy, acuity, wisdom. I wouldn't do that if you worked for me.
What, you want me to work for you? Huh. Well, maybe, let's go somewhere to talk.
Okay.
Not here, okay?
Not here.
So you want me to work with you? But why now? Why me?
Let's see. We need help preventing more terramorph attacks, and we're not expecting the ambassador's support. I could lie.
No, I think that's a pretty safe assumption. And no other city should have to go through what happened here. So then, what would you need from me?
I need to get access to her quarters without being seen, or the code.
Her quarters. Huh. Oh, that's doable. And you and the UC will be providing me with what for my services?
The UC Interstellar Affairs Office will wire you a recruitment fee of 4,000 from its discretionary fund.
That much. Okay. You have a deal? Okay, so there's a utility corridor that leads to the ambassador's quarters, which you can access through the main conference room. Here, the key. Whatever you do, don't let the guards see you entering or exiting the utility section, or you're gonna be in serious hot water. I'll keep an ear out for more instructions from the UC.
There's no...
Agent detected. Patching in playback.
Are you alright, Ambassador? It seems the Council of Governors has rejected my appeal to join. Again. Which means you and I are stuck in this colonial rat cage until we die. But I think we might need to. Should expedite the process. What are you getting at, ma'am? I mean, my requests keep being rejected because they don't want to add a C, right? But what if? What if one opened up? So nice and hard. Isn't what it used to be. It's not like anyone would miss him. Eva, I think it's time to get some sleep. Just think about it. Maybe we can reach out to some experts at that sort of thing, huh? Good night, Eva.
Official business? Talk to the ambassador.
I'm sorry. Do you have an appointment?
I'm here on behalf of the United Colonies. We need the Freestar Collective's help.
Ah, you're the one McIntyre called about. The eyewitness. She said you were at the spaceport. You have my thanks for what you did down there, truly. Saved many lives. Now, she also mentioned that, and maybe it was just a bad connection, that now the UC wants terramorph data from the Armistice archives, some of the most highly guarded information in the galaxy, in order to protect us all. I can only presume you're here to tell me I misheard her and that they didn't send you, local hero, to futilely beg on their behalf. Tell me I've got that right.
You heard correctly. We need access to the archives.
I was afraid of that. Let me be frank, Captain. The answer is no. That information is there because it is dangerous. I will not be the one responsible for its release. Now, why don't you quit wasting my time and yours, and go?
I know your plan to replace someone on the Council of Governors.
Excuse me? I have no idea what you're talking about.
There's evidence. I imagine bad things would happen if your bosses found out.
No. If the council found out, I'd lose my position. I'd be exiled. Look, I believe we may have gotten off on the wrong foot. The issue at hand is one of trust, no? So perhaps if I can trust you to keep this little secret between us, then maybe we can find a way to trust the UC with access to the archives.
You got yourself a deal.
Good. I appreciate you working with me. Just like I'm sure our great powers will. In fact, I think there's an opportunity here. Keep both our factions happy and ensure an air of legitimacy to the whole proceeding. I can only let you get the information on the terramorphs. Anything else and people will get suspicious. And all research will need to be monitored. Freestar scientific observers making sure everything's being used for the right purposes. But those two items should be enough to allay any suspicions.
I can agree to those terms.
Good. Okay, let's go get you your access. They tell me it should only take a moment. And there. Here you go. I hope that'll be enough to maintain your discretion.
Hee. Don't have a lot of bullets. we don't trust anything here. Come on, Sarah.
But this isn't what I expected at all. It appears the flora they were using as decor has overgrown the entire embassy.
Okay. That'd be interesting. Oh no. Or this one? No. Eh. No. It's not right either. Fuck. There we go. Okay. Turrets? I don't know. Maybe I fucked up there? What's that stuff?
I've never seen a tree like this before in my entire life. It would actually be more fascinating if its branches weren't blocking our way.
Oh, wait. I gotta get around there anyways. Okay, got it. And apparently the turrets is helping me.
Come on!
Okay, I got a saber. Hello. I don't know why I picked up that. My God, I thought you were gonna help me. Okay. Oh, I'm so drugged. Approach the stranger.
So, what seems punishment becomes providence. A reminder we can never truly know the Great Serpent's designs for us. You have my thanks, and my apologies for the ordeal you just endured. Come, let us discuss.
Come on.
Not the ideal introduction, I suppose, giving you a grand tour of the embassy via barely functioning intercoms. I do greatly appreciate your persistence. I suspect the venom tree upstairs has worked itself into more systems than I'd realized. But then again, who could cage such a beauty?
Well,
tell me though, what is it like outside? I heard the broadcast mentioning an attack. Then the embassy was struck with a power surge and then silence. Has the rest of the city suffered quite so badly?
Did you say that thing pouring out clouds upstairs is called a venom tree? Is it poisonous?
Harmless spores, you have my word, but hard to navigate. Hence why I was guiding you through the intercoms to restore the environmental controls. And release me. It is the sap of the tree that gives it its... well, perhaps not a topic for this exact moment. But I must know of the rest of the city. Does it still stand?
And the spaceport is in rough shape, but not much else was damaged.
Is that right, huh? I shall need to have these repairs seen to sooner rather than later. Now, it cannot solely be the Serpent's grace that brought you here at such an opportune moment. You were sent by the UC. That much is obvious. Who else could just waltz through my door, And the broadcast spoke of terror morphs at the spaceport. A worrying occurrence, certainly, but coming here of all places, when all I could provide is some enthused cheerleading and... an archive code. So the UC requires information, then. On terror morphs, presumably, Do I see this all clearly?
Correct. We're going to use the data in the archives to better understand and stop these attacks.
The preservation of life stands as the very purpose of the archives. Using its data to prevent more attacks, there is logic there. But if I am to grant you access, I have a requirement. For years, House Varun has been known only as an agent of slaughter. We founded this embassy with hopes of shedding that legacy. With little success. In exchange for my code, I require this. You must be the one who ensures it is used for good. Ensure House Varun's legacy is more than just carnage. The knowledge you ask for isn't evil. No knowledge is. It is we who bend it to evil ends. Oh, you must assure me this will be used to save lives, not endanger them.
You don't need my assurances. Independent observers will verify it's used responsibly.
We'll do everything we can to make certain that happens.
Well, then I shall not fear. Please, follow me. Let's hope it still works.
Carrying too many odds and ends.
Let it be used for good.
Alright, there we go. We got all the codes from the ambassadors that we needed to access the archives. So next time I think we're gonna do that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Bye guys.